What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Woodshed, and today we are going over the real pros and cons of trophy pushing. Let's go ahead and get into it. That's right, guys. We're doing a little bit of a different kind of video, a little bit more of a talky one. I'm going to have some replays, some Town Hall 16, some Town Hall 17 replays in the background, and we're going to talk about really everything you need to know about trophy pushing. Everything I can share from you guys from my experience from being a trophy pusher over the past couple of years. I'm going to show you guys how it's evolved. I'm going to tell you guys what you should really expect as far as trophy pushing goes, things you should ask yourself, things you figure out before you should. And I'm going to give you a long list of pros and cons and figure out if trophy pushing is something you really should consider doing or not. So let's go ahead and get into some of the replays so we can go ahead and start talking. All right. So firstly, what we're going to do is we're actually going to go over what you should consider before you start trophy pushing. Something very important that a lot of people don't consider when they really first start their trophy pushing is two things. One, how long do you want to push? How much time are you going to dedicate out of real life to go however far, right? That's a very important thing a lot of people don't consider. They go, well, I just want a trophy push. Well, you need to have some kind of goal set in mind. You're like, well, I want to push for 2 weeks because in 3 weeks I have a final. Or in 3 weeks I have, I go back to work. I just took 2 weeks off of vacation. I figured I was bored. I played some extra games. Whatever the case is, right? You need to have in your mind how long do you want to push. You can't really just push indefinitely. Well, you can. You'll do what I end up doing a lot of times and burning out and kind of sitting in mid-legend league like I tend to most of the time. So have in mind a time frame, how long you personally want to trophy push. Number two, and this is lastly, just things you should really consider. Well, I got one more actually after this. Is how high in trophies do you want to go? And the reason I say that this is so important is because partially it's going to be based on your town hall, how high you realistically can go. So it's important you realize and have a realistic understanding of how high you can go and how high you want to go. So for example, if you're town hall 15, don't be telling me you want to go to 6,000 trophies. It's not going to happen. Mainly because your defense won't let you at that point. So having some kind of real grasp and having a goal in mind to shoot for is fantastic, and that's the part that makes it actually so rewarding, is when you get to that goal and you're like, man, I can't believe it. I finally hit 5,800 trophies. I'm dealing with all Town Hall 17s. It's absolutely miserable. I'm in love with it, and then your name is me. Then I just call you me. So that's something you really should consider. How far do you want to go, right? Or how high are you able to go? And one more thing you also should really consider is upgrades. If you're not a max Town Hall 17, are you going to be able to live without heroes? Absolutely not. You're going to have at least 4 of your heroes. So you're going to have to slow down your upgrade schedule. You're going to have to slow down a lot of your farming because you're not going to get nearly as much loot, even though the time will take longer when you're on the higher end of trophies like this, right? But regardless, right? So you need to keep in mind, too, those couple of things. Now, we'll go ahead and get into some of the pros and some of the cons of trophy pushing. We'll actually start off with the pros. I want to start off with the good things about it. And number one, you become a better attacker when you're trophy pushing, right? You're pushing up higher in trophies. You're constantly going against harder bases, tougher bases. You're having to learn how to adapt to different base styles because there are going to be a lot of anti-whatever attack strategy you're using. There's going to be a lot of base styles that are designed specifically to thwart that. So you do learn a lot more versatility. I noticed that when I'm trophy pushing, and I always stop when Clan War League comes around. When I'm trophy pushing and Clan War League comes around, I am a absolute menace, and nothing can stop me in Clan War League. And I'll just absolutely destroy everybody. Because the difference between Master 2 and Master 1 versus 5,800 trophies, the base difference is there's not nearly as much variance. So, right, it's a lot easier for you to go into wars and to Clan War League and to certain strategies like that to have that extra attack. It's basically just sharpening your skills, right? That's a pretty good way to look at it. Another really good thing is it's actually going to let you learn new attack strategies through watching defensive replays. You actually learn a lot more about the game mechanics and how everything is working, which sounds really wild to say because I know a lot of you guys have never really looked at replays of your own base, at least not very often. Now, when you get to Legends League, there is a point where you stop. You can't move anymore. or you're moving very, very slowly, and you realize that you're getting attacked for as many trophies as you are earning. And so you're trying to figure out, man, what's wrong with my base design? What am I doing? And you realize and you see certain things, or you see other attack strategies, and you see metas shifting. And it helps, for one, with your versatility through your attack strats, but it also learns, certain things you could change about bases or what would be more annoying. And it lets you learn how to do stuff like that. I know a lot of base builders who have been not super high level anytime recently, but that's how they've learned. They've been through high level trophy pushing, and then they end up making bases based around specifically what the meta was at that time. That's how teaser bases come around. And anti 3-star bases, but free 2-star bases, right? That's how that kind of stuff's come around. So, getting to pick up new strategies and stuff like that, absolutely fantastic, right? Now we'll go to the last point, really, of pros. And this one is more personal for me, right? I kind of already touched on it, saying that hitting your goal was a fantastic part of trophy pushing, right? Once you hit that 54, 55, 5600 trophies, whatever the goal was you set for yourself, you feel really good about yourself. You feel fantastic. For me, it was getting on the leaderboard. Once you hit that leaderboard, rather it be through early pushing, trophy pushing, first thing at 12 a.m., or by some other means, right? Just getting that accomplishment. For me, like I said, it was always leaderboard. Being able to go, man, you know what? I, at this moment, was a top 200 player in the United States. It felt amazing. I just smacked the hell out of the microphone. I'm so sorry. But it was an absolutely otherworldly feeling. I couldn't even pretend to compare it to anything else, at least in game, right? Being able to go, wow, I was at one point 18th ranked in America. And I'll go, wow, at some point I really am. I really did feel like I was like, man, I actually might be a top 200 player in America at this very moment. Didn't stay that way, but it feels absolutely amazing. It's fantastic. So yeah, those are the pros. Sorry, those are the pros to trophy pushing. Definitely some stuff to consider. Now we're going to go into the cons. Now this first one I did already briefly touch on as well. Con number one is the limited access to loot you're going to get the higher up in trophies you go. Rather that be in any of the leagues, typically in the higher leagues, you just start to come across lower loot like Titans and Legends League. A lot of people don't stay in Legends League or High Titan to farm. That's very uncommon. Not that it doesn't happen from time to time with long upgrade times and high cost, but you're very limited in the amount of resources you can actually get. So, you are pretty, like I said, you're very limited in the amount of resources you can get. With the higher town halls, because the wait time is so long, you typically can make it work. But, and for a lot of people who are trophy pushing or consider trophy pushing, you're probably max or very near max out to your town hall. So this probably doesn't apply to you, but it is something you really do need to consider. Con number two, 2 and 3 do kind of go to hand in hand together. There is a lot. Number 2, I'll go into this first. There's a lot of up and downs, right, from day to day, right? The number of times that I have, for example, excuse me, I have and part of this too is based on your defense, and this is why it's very important to learn through watching your own defenses. Is that there's going to be a lot of ups and downs. There's going to be days where you're not attacking as well, and you're going to go minus 60 trophies. When you spent the past 3 or 4 days going minus 10 or plus 10, plus 15, nickel and diamond, you lose a whole bunch of them all at once. So there's a lot of ups and downs. It's also very, when I also say up and down, I also mean in the terms that there are going to be days where you get 300 trophies from attacking. You go, man, I went plus 300. That was fantastic. I only 2-starred one base, and I really effed up that invisibility spell, so I got the 20 trophies. I felt fantastic. And you got 320, and you went minus 20 on a plus 300 day. And that's that's a heartbreaking feeling where you think you did amazing. You did almost everything completely perfect, and you go negative. That takes a toll on you, and it definitely takes some of the wind out of your sails when it comes to trophy pushing. That is something you really need to consider. Tying into number 2, like I said, number 3 kind of does, is you get punished a lot for inconsistency, right? So, what do I mean when I say getting punished for inconsistency? Well, let me go ahead and tell you. What I mean when I say punished for inconsistency is that I mean that, how do I want to word this? I almost mean that there's little to no room for margin of error. So if you don't have your attack strategy narrowed down to a T, you're going to be punished for it. You also need to make sure that whatever the attack strategy you use, you actually can't get consistent results on multiple different base styles, right? Like you guys are seeing with the Royal Champion Charge thing here. I'm showing you a bevy of bases where I get 5 to 7 3-stars on a daily basis when I'm trophy pushing. I'll preface that if you've seen the past couple streams, I haven't been doing that well. 5 to 7 3-stars every day with it when I am in practice, right? So you need an attack strategy that's very consistent among base styles, but you're going to get punished for any inconsistency. One wrong move, and you're screwed. And it's going to be very, very hard to recover from that, if not damn near impossible. Now, is it impossible? No, it depends on how big the mistake is. If it's a little mistake and you just wasted an extra invisibility spell in this case, you could probably bounce back from it. I do that pretty regularly and still get to survive from it. But if it's, oh man, you let your Royal Champion die, or you wasted an extra invisibility spell trying to save her, she died and you wasted it, then you're having to waste a revive spell to get her back when you wanted certain value from her before. It's hard. It's very, very hard to bounce back from. And number 4, and this is the last point for the cons, and this one is the most disheartening one. And I wish I could explain this one in a little more depth, but I only have so much knowledge on this one particularly. But it is virtually impossible to finish in the top 200 globally due to win traders. So, the win traders aren't nearly as prevalent as they have been in the past with like Georgiao, where they're specifically paying people to say, no, don't attack my base if you see it. Get me enough of a percent so I can get a shield. It's not like that, like it used to be. It doesn't work like that in Legends League. But there are people who you can see specifically are at the end of day 1, and if you notice that they are specifically having 5,320 trophies. So they had a perfect day, and they'll end the day like that. That means they didn't get attacked. I've even seen people in some seasons who day 1 of a new Legends League season have over 5,320 trophies, which should be impossible. So I don't know how that works. I don't know a ton about the win trading, but it does feel like it is virtually impossible to actually sneak into that top 200 and stay there, because every one of those guys is going to finish above 6,000 trophies or better, right? I mean, right now I'm halfway through the season. I got another 2 weeks, and the top guy's already over 6,000. And the bottom of global is going to be somewhere in the mid to low 5,800s. I mean, it's going to be staying around here. Yeah, look at this. I mean, it's 58, 48. He's won 2 defenses. I mean, these extra numbers don't feel unobtainable. And you'll notice as you go through Legends League that the higher you go, the harder bases feel, even if stuff doesn't change, either the styles or anything. And it might be little things that always have just tripped me up. But it's true. And it gets hard fast. But that's my take on it. That's my thoughts on Legends League. Although I do love it, and I will be in Legends League probably until the end of time or the end of Clash of Clans, whichever one comes first. I do love this game, and I do love trophy pushing, so I'll keep doing that. So thank you guys so much for coming by and watching. I appreciate it. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you guys want to see in videos going forward. I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks, everybody.